Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Wednesday. It is hump day. Sorry, hair problems today. Got a lot of it and don't know what to do with it. So anyways, but I love it. I am going to finish with a unicorn oracle card today, but first and foremost, we got a good show. I think we have a good show today. We're going to be tying up the last end of the ADHD series this week. If anybody else can think of anything, let me know. But good morning, older sibling. So yeah, I haven't pulled a card yet though. So you know what? While I'm waiting for people to come on, let's shuffle down to Buffalo. Don't know where that came from. I know it's a show or a song, but oops. All right. I'm going to pick one. But no, I saw that one. Damn, because it was a good one. Okay. I did not see this one. Okay. So, yeah, actually. Oh. Okay. It's actually two of them. One we'll read, one we won't. This was the one I accidentally saw. Cupcake. The body positivity card. Love her. Oh, maybe that's the one. All right, so that one I have not seen. But just as a reminder, don't be so serious. Okay, why so serious? And whatever it is that's bothering you or you're hanging on to, let it go. Okay, let it go. And then Cupcake is, again, the body positivity card. So she's so cute. I just love her. So anyways, all right. Oh, I did not see that one. I don't want to see it until we're done. I don't know what it's going to be about. But here we go. Here we go. So ADHD and perimenopause. Now, if you are watching because you did not see the title, please stay, because you never know who you might know that's going through perimenopause and may have ADHD. So you could either help them, or you could guide them a little. Never give unsolicited advice, but just say, hey, you know what, I learned something. Do you want to know about it? Before just saying, well, you should blah blah blah, because I used to do that and I can see how annoying it is. So I used to do that. Sometimes they still do, because there we go. Good morning, Muddy. My phone was trying to reconnect, and I know that the video itself keeps recording, but for the live people, it gets stuck a little bit. So, yeah, so no matter how you identify, please, 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 stick with this, hang in there for this one, because, like I said, you never know if you're going to have information that might help somebody or even if you're young, one day you will perimenopause. Chances are. All right. So, unless, I don't know, for whatever reason, most of the women out there are going to perimenopause. Okay. So ADHD and perimenopause don't just interact. Oh, before I forget, because I always keep forgetting at the beginning of this, I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a certified psychiatrist, psychologist, anything across the board. These are my experiences. Okay. These are my experiences, my research. The research information I get is from the Cleveland Clinic and the Mayo Clinic. So, two very reputable places that the internet likes to pull from. So I just want to preface that, because I don't want people to say, well, Shelley Marie said, because I did not. I cannot give you medical directives. I cannot give you medical advice, but I can lay a foundation for you to decide whether or not you decide to pursue help. And if you do need to seek professional help, I do advise it. It's not for weak people. It's for people who are ready to just move forward. It's for people who are saying, okay, you know what, I've had enough and I need to figure this out. And maybe I need a tour guide on this to do it. Just look at the therapist as like a tour guide, all right? You're going to do most of the talking, but they're going to kind of guide you, okay? I mean, when you're out on a trail with a tour guide or out there with a tour guide, they can only point out certain things, but you're the one that has to look at it and feel whatever it is you feel about it. So, don't expect them to just magically fix you. They are there to listen. They're there to guide you. They're there to help you figure it out so that you can see, look, my brain does work and I can move through this. Okay. So That being said, here we go. ADHD and perimenopause don't just interact, they collide in a way that can feel like your brain suddenly changed its operating system. Oh, yeah. Many women describe this phase as the moment their ADHD symptoms became louder, heavier, and harder to compensate for, even if they've managed them well for years. Here's the clearest way to understand what's happening. So, I'm not going to lie. I know that I was just recently diagnosed, but I've always kind of suspected I had it, and I'd always had it managed. But when I hit perimenopause, it's like, I don't know, like ADHD on steroids. You know, all of a sudden, like they both just kind of magnified each other. And then in a way, it kind of made the depression almost the third wheel. But at the same time, that thing we talked about yesterday, where it's like, you know, it can feel like heavy and sticky. It kind of felt that way, like just very exhausting and very overwhelming. You know, I'm finding that I'm tired a lot more because it's just, you know, the brain is just like, you know, and my brain's always going, but now it feels like, you know, there's a cat on one of those big wheels just running for its life on that big wheel. And it's just kind of like, slow down, please. Now, I don't know if everybody's like that, but that is definitely where I'm at right now. So anyways, here's the clearest way to understand what's happening. The core idea. Perimenopause disrupts estrogen, and estrogen is deeply involved in dopamine regulation. Dopamine is, I think it's one of the hormones or one of the things that kind of just help regulate the moods. Executive function, working memory, emotional stability, and sleep quality. Tired. ADHD already affects these same systems, so when estrogen fluctuates, ADHD symptoms often intensify. This isn't imagined, it's neurochemical, okay? It's neurochemical. So again, remember how I said in the first day, women who menopaused were sometimes considered so hysterical that they would put them in sanitariums. And you always notice that the ones who did that, the majority, they always ended up divorcing and marrying someone younger, right? And I'm not saying that it's a character assassination on men. That was just how it seemed to be back in those days. Like they needed somebody to take care of them. So if that one's broken, we just hide her somewhere. Sometimes I wish I had a TARDIS or a time machine, just go back in time and whop some people on the head. But, and I'm not a violent person. I talk big, but I'm not, but that one, wow. Putting a woman in a institution, a mental institution, simply for probably just having intensified, you know, perimenopausal symptoms. It's crazy. Sorry, bad choice of words. It's terrible. So one, why ADHD symptoms worsen during menopause, estrogen drops, and dopamine drops. So, you know, I want to kind of get a better feel for this whole dopamine thing, because I don't want to sit here and lie to you by saying, oh, it's this, when I could be completely wrong. And somebody out there's going, Shelly Marie, it's not right. And instead of commenting it anywhere, they just yell it at their TV, and none of us ever learned. So we are going to look it up now. You know, I'm not going to lie. I kind of miss my blonde hair. I like the way it streaked through the messy bun, or whatever this thing is on the top of my head, the nest. It was kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. I do. I know it sounds dumb, because I know I complained about having blonde hair, but I kind of miss it now. Never happy. But, sorry, it's just booting up now. Yeah, because before we go forward, because I have a feeling dopamine's going to, well, I don't know if it's going to appear up anymore, but whatever the case, we should probably have an idea, okay, of what it is. So, oh, of course, now that stopped working. All right. Sorry, this is what you get with a live. So, a little bit of something, a whole lot of everything. You get to stare at me while I'm quiet. Let's see. Dopamine. Restore. Let's see. I need. Okay, it wants to open, but it doesn't want to open. Alright, here we go. I'm so sorry, guys. My computer is slow. Slow-mo. Okay, dopamine. Come on, dopamine. There we go. Okay. Come on. You can do it. All right. Oh my goodness. What is happening today? See? My computer comes up fast when I don't need it to, and when I do need it to, it's super ass slow. So, let's see what it has to say. Dopamine actually, let's see, what is this? Why did you go down? Okay, what dopamine actually does. It spikes when you expect something rewarding, not when you get it. It teaches your brain this action led to something good, do it again. Low dopamine is a specific pathway. Low dopamine in specific pathway is what causes Parkinson's. And dopamine regulates attention, working memory, and executive function. This is why ADHD medications target dopamine pathways. Ta-da! Now we know. But that really didn't answer my question, did it? It didn't really tell me what it is. So, dopamine is your brain's motivational chemical. So there you go. Dopamine is your brain's motivational chemical. So there you have it. So why does this affect us? ADHD brains already struggle with dopamine signaling. Lower estrogen means hard time focusing, more distractibility, more task paralysis, more overwhelm, more emotional volatility. Ooh, duck. That's all I can tell you. It's my advice, duck. Many women say it feels like my ADHD went from manageable to unmanageable overnight. Fudge. Yes. That's insane. No pun intended. Executive function becomes more fragile. So perimenopause affects planning, memory, mental stamina, organization, and time management. These are the exact domains ADHD already challenges. So it's almost like you have two things that are kind of fighting for your brain, and because they're doing that, you're just kind of left like, what's happening? It's like this. It's like you're watching it in real time in your brain, and nothing else is happening. So, because it gets overwhelming and it gets exhausting. So, working memory becomes unreliable. People describe forgetting mid-sentence, losing track of what they were doing, misplacing items constantly, feeling mentally foggy. This is often mistaken for early dementia, but it's a known perimenopausal effect amplified in ADHD. So there you go. I know a lot of times we'll sit there and joke, like, do I need to get you tested? But it could very well just be because of, perimenopausal, and I'm assuming menopausals, because, menopause is, all perimenopause is you waiting for your period to stop. But everything's starting to fluctuate, everything's starting to change. You go 12 months without a period, that's menopause. We talked about this yesterday. One day. The next day, you're postmenopausal. But that doesn't mean the estrogen levels go back up and go, hey, look, we're here. No, it becomes something that you're going to kind of have to learn how to manage. Now, with perimenopause, the estrogen levels are all over the place because your body is changing. It's trying to figure out how to change. Lots of people go through this for years. Lots of people go through postmenopause, which can have its own things. But I think once menopause hits, once you don't have that period coming every month anymore or whatever it is, once you've skipped it for an entire year, I think your body is just saying, okay, now we got to level out. And I think that's what postmenopause does. But there are women who even without their periods anymore are still very, have very perimenopausal and menopausal symptoms. So, for some women, menopause is just that new phase, like, yeah, here I am. For other women, they still carry a lot of the perimenopausal traits. And that is not a scientific term. Those are people I know. Those are people I know that are like, oh my God, I'm still going through this. I don't understand. I thought when I stopped my period and they were gone, I'd be done, but it's not. So, try to discern what it is, because I don't want to stop anyone getting tested either for dementia, because earlier, it's like cancer. Early detection can help get better treatment, and can kind of elongate the, and stave it off for quite a while. So, and maybe even long enough for someone to figure it all out, right? Because people come up with new things all the time. So emotional regulation becomes harder. ADHD already brings emotional intensity. Perimenopause adds irritability, sudden mood swings, tearfulness, anxiety spikes. That sounds like PMS, doesn't it? This combination can feel very destabilizing. Number 2, the symptoms that are most specific to ADHD and perimenopause. Women often report a cluster that clinicians sometimes miss. Sudden inability to multitask, losing emotional resilience, feeling mentally slower, more impulsive spending or decision making, more sensory sensitivity, more social withdrawal, more difficulty switching tasks, more overwhelm from small responsibilities. These aren't personality changes, they are neurochemical shifts. So this is sometimes what makes it hard, makes mental health things, or even being neurodivergent, hard, is that when things like perimenopause are thrown in, we have to figure out how to shift. So you may get comfortable in dealing with whatever neurodivergence umbrella thing that you land under, and maybe managing whatever you fall under the mental health umbrella. But now you have something thrown into the mix, and you're kind of like, it kind of becomes like well, what do I do? And then you have to shift again. And sometimes you don't realize it right away, because perhaps, like me, it's, not ignoring the initial, idea of it before getting diagnosed, but just, it becomes very overwhelming. And, you, like with depression, right? When you go into a spiral and you don't realize until you're in it that you're in it, and you're like, crap. And then, then you have your moment, and then you're like, all right, what can I do to come out? So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this show, because if anybody is identifying with this, hopefully this is the ladder you need to climb out of that hole, so that you can figure out what process and what path is going to work best for you. Everybody's different. Everybody manages everything different. I refuse to be on meds for it. I'm already on an antidepressant. I'm already on a thyroid pill and like a billion vitamins, but I don't want to be on another pill. I have managed this long, but I'm not saying don't, okay? If it is something you feel you need to discuss that with your doctor. I can't tell you what to do. Like I said, I cannot give it medical advice. I cannot give medical directives. This is just what I'm doing, because I don't really have the hyperactivity part of ADHD. It's a little bit, not a lot. I find that it's a little more amplified with perimenopause, but for the most part, it's not something that I've normally carried. I do talk a lot, but I don't know if that's a side effect or just life. But anyways, so yeah, remember, these are neurochemical shifts. So number 3, why this phase feels different from normal ADHD. Perimenopause adds unpredictability. Symptoms fluctuate day to day because hormones fluctuate day to day. ADHD is relatively stable. Perimenopause is not. So you get good days that feel normal, bad days that feel like your brain is underwater, sudden crashes, sudden bursts of clarity, inconsistent functioning that feels confusing. Many women say, I don't know who I am anymore. I can't trust my brain. So I don't know who I am anymore. I can't trust my brain. A lot of people feel this way. You're not imagining it. It's a known pattern. It's a known pattern. So number 4, why this is under-recognized. Most ADHD research is historically focused on children, men, and non-hormonal contexts. Women's ADHD across the lifespan, especially during perimenopause, is only recently being studied. No comment. Anyways, many clinicians still don't connect the dots. Really. So anyways, and I guess you can't always blame them. This is why I always tell people, and I've had to learn this the hard way. You need to be your own advocate. Okay, you cannot trust that your doctor is going to figure everything out. You may have a great doctor. I have a great doctor. But my doctor's also busy. She doesn't have 24/7 to think about me only. No, she thinks about me the morning she knows I'm coming to see her. So, because she's like, oh yeah, Shelly Marie, because she always remembers. She always remembers me. We talk about stuff. She talks about my show. And then we just kind of move in. She's like, okay, what do you need? What are you here for? And it's my job to advocate for myself. So you need to be your own advocate. If you have children, family, parents, friends, and you're with them, advocate for them too, if they'll let you. Always ask first. But, sometimes, like, when it comes to my dad and his doctor appointment, I just shoot stuff out there. It's like, I don't even care if either one of them get mad at me, because it's like, too bad. All right, you need to hear what I have to say, because no one's paying attention to this except me. So you need to advocate, but especially for yourself. Number 5, what people often find helps. This is general info, not personal medical advice. So I won't give personal medical directives, but here are general strategies clinicians often consider when treating ADHD and perimenopause. Addressing sleep first, because it amplifies everything. Stabilizing mood systems, supporting executive function, exploring ADHD treatment options, discussing hormonal therapy options with your doctor. Tread carefully with that. I won't do it personally, because I know where some of them come from. And I mean, it's, for some people, they're not going to care, but I know that there was something out there called Premarin, which was pregnant mare's urine, and they basically torture the horses to get this stuff. And that's just so, we can deal with our hot flashes. So for me, I'm sorry, I can't. That's just a personal choice. That's not a choice on anybody else. Plus, I already have to deal with a thyroid. So, the less I have to deal with, the better. But, because my thyroid can directly affect my heart. So that's where I try to manage everything. And of course, the one antidepressant I take. So, that's a choice for you, but you can discuss it with your doctor. All right. Building external structure to compensate for internal fluctuations. Here's the thing. If any of you out there are like me, and you tend to shame yourself, you tend to hold yourself accountable for everything, you apologize for everything, even stuff that isn't your fault. When your brain and your body rebel, on the day that your ADHD and your perimenopause get into a cat fight and they rebel, and you're sitting there kind of like, with that blank look on your face, right? Mid-sentence going, don't shame yourself. Don't make yourself feel bad. Just, as much as people hate this term, it is what it is. So just sit there and go, okay, for me, I would just blurt right out, well, it looks like my ADHD and my perimenopause are fighting again today. So I'm just going to sit here for a second, take a deep breath, and try to play referee. And, that's just me. That's how my brain works. But I do admit it is hard sometimes, and it can be very, very exhausting. It's like one minute I'm writing, the next minute I'm playing a game for an hour, and then I sit there and go, wait, what happened? I was going to play for 1 minute just to get my brain back on, and it's like I get hyper-focused. So just whatever you need to do to figure out how to kind of override these patterns, that is a personal choice, but journal it. See what sticks. See what sticks. Talk with your doctor. If you want to be brave and go Google University and figure out some things, and that's your choice. I can't tell you what to do. But it says the right combination varies widely. That's something to discuss with a healthcare professional who knows your history. So that's the biggest option that you can take, because it can be difficult, right? You're sitting here and maybe you're like me, where, you just finally, got diagnosed or accepted the diagnosis. Like I said, 9 years ago, my therapist said, have you been tested? It's like, no. It's like, I don't need something else wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just something that we have to deal with, right? I know. So don't shame yourself. So number 6, emotional reality. This phase can feel disorienting. So There we go. Sorry guys. I'm going to repeat that part, but I had to turn off the Wi-Fi because for some reason it's rebelling today, along with everything else. Maybe it's too hot to work. So anyways, all right. So number 6, again, for those who just heard this on the recorded version, I apologize. But for the people on live, I'm not sure if you heard this or not. So emotional reality. This can feel disorienting, exhausting, lonely, frightening, like you're losing abilities you've relied on. And again, from a personal experience, it's very overwhelming. So, but it's not a personal failure, and it is not a character flaw. It is just a moment in your life that you may feel like it goes on forever, but it's still just a moment in your life. So anyways, it's a neurobiological transition that interacts strongly with ADHD wiring. Many women regain stability once they understand what's happening and get support. So once you figure out a plan for yourself and you were able to stabilize and you were able to kind of move with the perimenopause and the estrogen peaks, highs, peaks, and lows, right? Sorry, I meant highs and lows and peaks and valleys. When you figure out a plan for yourself, it can become more sustainable and more stable. So it's just a matter of figuring out what works best for you. Okay. I know it can be difficult. I know it can be scary, and it can be hard because, it's just one more thing that we have to deal with. And, that's what makes women so strong, because we have to learn how to pivot in different ways. But also, let's not forget, men, their hormones change over the course of their life too. So if you are a guy and you're starting to feel like maybe you have ADHD, or maybe you have depression, or maybe you have both, and you're like, my ADHD feels a little out of control, then you may need to come in to this place, this tent that the rest of us women are sitting in, and go, all right, what do I need to do to kind of, balance this? Because like I said, men's hormones change as well. And I am convinced men PMS every month. So, all right. I promised a card. Oh, that was a fast one, wasn't it? We only took half an hour to do that one. Even with all the interruptions from the internet. So I like this. This is perfect. This is perfect for today. Glorious mess. You're gloriously human, and you are a glorious mess. I love that. I love that. I feel like I'm a glorious mess, and I embrace it. I used to think, there was an old me that would say, no, I can't be this way because it's, I have to show the world, blah, blah, blah. Now it's just kind of like, world, this is what you get. Okay. It's not that I don't try. It's not that I don't put any effort in to who I am. It's just, I've accepted the fact that I have a brain that squirrels. I have a neurochemical system that throws me into a depression from time to time, if not managed properly. And I do think I'm doing a pretty good job managing my depression. So, perhaps it's made dealing with ADHD and perimenopause a little bit easier. And there are days when the three of them meet up and have a party, and I feel like the loner sitting in the corner looking at them going, how come they don't want me in their party? It's because like the minute you step into that party, it's like party's over. You're like the mom in your brain, right? Or the parent in your brain going, we're done. All right, everybody go home. Everybody go back to your corners, go back to your rooms, go back to wherever. This is done. So, and sometimes we need that moment in that corner just to take a deep breath, just to remind ourselves, hey, it's going to be okay. Just take a deep breath. Remember the ha breathing. Okay, I taught you guys the ha breathing a couple months ago, and it is breathing into the count of 7, holding for the count of 7, exhaling to the count of 7, and then again holding for the count of 7. And you can do it 7 times. Now, it doesn't have to be 7 seconds. It can just be to the count of 7. I advise just counting normally. Don't speed up your counting, especially if you're like, well, I have to do it 7 times. No, you don't have to do it 7 times. It is just, if you're meditating and this is something that you have set some time aside for, you can do the 7, repetitions, or what do they call them? Repetitions? 7 reps? I don't know. But you can do it the 7. All right. If not, and if you're first starting out, I don't want you to pass out. So just take it as you can. Okay. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's basically just breathing in, holding, and breathing out. The reason they say to the count of 7 is so that it's consistent. Okay. So it's consistent. But after a while, muscle memory, you will probably figure it out. So again, we love being a glorious mess. I do. I embrace it. I spent so much time trying to be a perfect human and then realizing that for me in my life that doesn't exist, that I do. I am gloriously human, and I am a hot mess sometimes, and I am but now I like this. I'm going to adopt this now instead. Instead of a hot mess, all of us should just say we are a glorious mess. I am a chaotic mess sometimes too. But but you know, it is what it is. So spikenard is considered one of the holy plants. Ooh, not holy like holes, but holy like, you know, praying. Much the same as frankincense and myrrh. Oh, I guess if I read the whole thing, you'd know. It has long, excuse me, it has long been used in prayer and meditation as a way to become closer to the divine. Its sweet, earthy, spicy scent is calming and brings great insights. Medicinally, it was used to treat any pain or disease in the body caused by emotional maladies. Does this card feel like it fits now? Emotional maladies, is that what they call it? Because everything we've talked about over the last 3 days is technically an emotional malady. All right, it is something a little bit upending, and obviously now we know neurochemically sponsored, but sponsored by the neurochemicals in your brain, or lack thereof. So yeah. But I love this. Medicinally, it was used to treat any pain or disease in the body caused by emotional maladies. On a metaphysical level, spikenard is used to release old patterns and help us learn our life lessons joyfully and with grace. Spikenard brings purity and raises our energetic vibration. So, this business of being human is all at once glorious, messy, divine, and mundane. Glorious Mess reminds us that everyone is struggling with something, and we are all just trying to do the best we can. Understand that everyone has their own challenges and may not be able to give you the time, attention, or help you think you deserve. This card appears when we need to release all expectations of how people should behave. Forcing others to worry about something or someone when they already have too much on their plate will just turn them away. Forcing yourself to worry about something or someone when you already have too much to deal with will lead to resentment and burnout. Set up some healthy boundaries. Only say yes to helping others when you truly have time and energy to do so. When you set strong boundaries and put the nourishment of your soul first, you will then be able to help others with honor, compassion, and respect without expecting anything in return. Often the best way to quickly help someone is to visualize sending them a loving beam of light to use in whichever way they wish. So this is why I always try to tell people to have a big support group, because there are going to be days when your people are busy. Maybe your favorite person is busy. Maybe your favorite person is napping. Maybe your favorite person doing something that you usually like to turn to and share your woes with, right? And they're not always going to be there. They're not always going to be able to give you the time you think you deserve. It's like, well, I'm in crisis right now. Where are you? And it's like, no, because you may be the same way, right? Someone may need you when you're off gallivanting somewhere in the world doing your own thing. When we can't seem to find someone and journaling just isn't working, make the journaling work. For me, I have found that when I have reached out to people and they have been busy or they haven't answered, that it is something I needed to figure out for myself. Now, I'm going to bring up a very sensitive subject. Okay, a very, very sensitive subject. There was a time, right around the time I turned 30, that I'll use the safe word for YouTube, tried to unalive myself. I had a bottle of pills and I had poured them into a drink hoping they would melt, and then I would just drink the drink and that would be it. So excuse me, I know I gotta sneeze. Pardon me. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I called older sibling, I called bestie, I called my mom, I called my dad. I wasn't going to tell them what I was doing. I just needed someone to talk to. But with older sibling, because I knew where she was at. She was at a job interview. She was out and about doing her thing. And, but for some reason, nobody answered. You know, like hers went right to voicemail because, again, she was at an actual appointment. The others all went to, thank you, buddy. The others all went to voicemail. They rang, went to voicemail. And so I sat there and I thought, is this it? You know, because I realized in that moment, Shelly Marie, you were ready to do this, but here you are reaching out to all these people to stop you. So maybe it's not something you want to do. And to bring this to a different level, and I swear to you this happened, and I know it happened. I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, it was just in your imagination. I smelled cotton candy. As I sat in Mom Barbara's chair, I smelled cotton candy. And I knew that was her, because she loved, the woman would complain about being type 2 diabetic to us, like, what are you trying to do? I'm diabetic, la la la. But every time we went to a hockey game, don't forget my cotton candy. So, pure sugar. But, you know, some people, they just eat when they feel like it. But she loved her cotton candy. But I smelled it. And then I felt this really kind of like a cold chill around me, like a lot of people feel when spirit is around. But then all of a sudden I felt warm. Not because the room was warm. The AC was not on. I had all the windows closed. I had all the blinds closed. Everything was closed. But just that love. And then I walked to the sink. I poured everything out. They weren't even my pills. They were older siblings. But I poured everything out, and then I sat there, and I kid you not, everybody started calling me back. My mom called me first. Are you okay? Yeah, I just wanted to talk, and I didn't want to say anything to her because you know how my mom feels about mental health. And then my dad, sorry, I missed your call. I was out, blah, blah, blah. We had a delivery, yada, 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 on campus. And it's like, okay, no problem. But he's all, did you need something? I'm like, no, Mom, call me back. And so I didn't explain that. And then Bestie called. And meanwhile, older siblings trying to frantically call. And so actually, I think she may have been the one that told me to pour the thing No, I think I already poured it out. But she was frantically calling. And unfortunately, everybody else was calling me back, including Bestie. And when she finally got a hold of me, and boy, she got home fast. But she would just kind of look at me. She's like, where is that all? And I'm like, it's in the sink. I threw it away. And then I told her everything, and then I cried, and she listened. And, you know, but in that moment, and I don't think I realized it until now, guys, like 20 some odd years later, that moment was a defining moment for me. What choice do you need to make? And that was kind of the beginning of a very, very long road to becoming a glorious mess. Me now and me then, I would never have accepted glorious mess, you know, because it felt like I needed to be what everybody wanted me to be. And I kept trying to fit myself in other people's boxes. You know, I think at the time I was just lonely. It was Christmas. It was Christmas time. I was lonely. None of my plans had ever worked out. I was 29 years old. I was going to turn 30 in a couple of weeks. And, you know, I was still single, no kids, no nothing. And it was just a little bit hurtful for me. It was very overwhelming because it was opposite of everything I thought my life would be. And it took me a long time to move past those particular feelings and to come to grips with the fact that family is not something that is probably in my future. Maybe a significant other, I don't know. But the thing is, we can't, what is the quote? Life happens while you're busy making plans, or something like that. And you don't want to miss the life part, you know, whatever is in store for your life, you know, yeah, maybe you have the plans. Maybe you're one of those people who are able to make it all happen. And maybe you make it all happen because maybe that was the journey that you were meant to come here for. If you want to subscribe to the idea that we planned our journey out before we got here, I believed this was the life I needed to tie up all my loose ends from all the past lives I've had. And yes, I know I've had past lives, and you don't have to believe that if you don't want to. It's okay. But this was a life that I needed to overcome a lot of different things. I needed to really kind of learn how to just be me. Yes, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. There you go. Thanks, older sibling. So yeah, I know a lot of times we feel sad. We feel like, we're failures. You're not a failure. I'm going to tell you that now. Not because I'm trying to make myself feel better, but because when we sit there and look in the mirror and say you did nothing you absolutely planned when you were a kid, you're just going to make yourself feel worse. And the point of life is to not make yourself feel worse. It's to make yourself learn how to pivot in these situations. How to remind yourself that you bring everything. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's a John Lennon lyric from Beautiful Boy. So there you go. Now we learn. See? Got the quote and the musical origin of it. But yeah, it's okay to be a glorious mess. It's okay to be gloriously human. Oh, wow. That was a big June bug. I know, I'm glad my window was closed. That would have been so loud you probably would have heard it buzzing. But, and there goes another one. Sorry, squirrel. I know. There's nature outside. It's hard to ignore it. So anyways, whoa. I don't know what they're doing. They're like, I don't know. It's like Top Gun outside with bugs. So anyways, it's okay to be a glorious mess. It's okay to be a glorious mess. You don't owe anybody anything. The world is yours to really kind of try to understand. And let's look up, something. Spiritual meaning of a June bug. Let's see what it says, because they just keep flying by. I feel like this is going to be something that I have to look up. Okay, it's giving me nothing. But if I do find something, guys, I'll put it in the comments. So let's see. Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh. A June bug. In spiritual traditions, the June bug is often seen as a messenger of transformation, renewal, and inner guidance. Its appearance can be interpreted as a sign to embrace change, trust the process, and keep moving towards your goals. How about that? Right? So attraction to light. Spiritually, this represents a soul search for truth, positivity, and higher wisdom. And it's a call to focus on uplifting influences and to let your own light shine. So the June bug life cycle from underground larva to winged adult mirrors personal growth. It reminds you that change often happens quietly before a visible shift. If that isn't about being a glorious mess and gloriously human, I don't know what to tell you. Those two bugs, they flew by, and now that I looked it up, they're gone. I can't make this stuff up, dude. Sorry. I can't make this stuff up, my friends. People. Family. That's pretty wild. And you don't have to believe in the spiritual meanings, but just believe in the message. Okay? Transformation, renewal, and inner guidance, and to embrace change, trust the process, and keep moving towards your goals, whatever your goals are. Even if it takes you a little bit longer because maybe you do have a neurochemical imbalance happening in your head. Trusting the process is hard for me, but I think we all can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay? So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. I'll be back here Monday. Okay? Monday. Monday we're going to do oracles, and then that's it for the week. So one more show in the next 2 weeks or week and a half. All right. But Comic-Con starts tomorrow for me. So I'm out. I'm out. Older siblings like, are you doing a show tomorrow or Thursday? It's like, no, it's Comic-Con. What are you, nuts? I got priorities. So anyways, again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Have a safe and joyous weekend. If you need to get to know yourself a little bit better, sit with yourself, sit with a journal, sit with whether it's you dictating to a phone, you typing on your phone, or you writing in something, a physical book. Sit with yourself for a while. Try to figure out the best path and the best solutions for your particular journey that you might be on with either ADHD or ADHD and depression, or even ADHD and menopause, perimenopause. And like I said, the only reason I focused on those was simply because these are the things I'm going through. I can't speak to other people's experiences, but I can speak to mine, and hopefully it helps other people. Okay. So again, have a great day, and have a wonderful and safe weekend, and I will see you next Monday. Thank you for watching.